even if we have a very small exercise at the beginning to see how you're doing today. So basically, the agenda is we're gonna do a small check-in. We're gonna have an activity. Maybe we can address your questions, Carla, quickly before that activity, a very small activity. And then we're gonna be providing some summary about the live session we've had with the students. And then we'll have a thorough like teacher feedback session with you on like, and we have categorized the different things we would like to solicit feedback from you about. And then we're gonna tell you more about our plans for the next year. And we'll do a checkout. So for the plan for next year, we will have a one-on-one meeting with you and your school administrators as well. So we will have the chance to talk more. But today is mostly about feedback for the Web for Change program. So maybe we can start quickly with just saying how we feel today. I hope you are having an energetic go back to the physical school environment. I know it is a relief to like parents at least a little bit. So can you annotate? Let me enable annotation. Okay. So can you try to annotate? Just like circle how you feel today.
I cannot see
The words.
I thought أنا معي درجتين ونص يا دكتور.
I have more than you.
Mona, how do we circle the
with the draw? You can on the annotate. If you press on the annotate, you can see a draw and you choose your color.
Okay. Let's see. I'm discovering this. It's the first time.
Yeah, it's interesting. We use it sometimes in class.
Okay. Yes.
We as teachers use it a lot.
Yeah.
In all the platforms we use. Victimized. disappointed. لا ما بدنا شيء نيجاتيف دكتور. نحن proud. أكيد proud. Always proud of them. And you are very happy always no matter what.
Yeah, great.
مش ناقصنا negativity.
So if we can all try to contribute. I mean, I can see that, yes, some of us are busy, overwhelmed, or tired, but a lot of you guys are like happy and thankful and excited and proud and hopeful. So it's really good to see the energy. So it's really good. Okay, great.
Actually, it depends, during the day, I was feeling very energetic. Now,
yeah,
I feel overwhelmed.
After a long day of trainings and stuff.
Yes. Yes, true. Hello, Carla.
Okay, great. Okay, so before we do the Jamboard activity, I'll stop sharing quickly just for Carla to share with us maybe some questions, and because she has to leave, and then
yes, Nada will share with me the info since we work together very closely. Okay, my feedback. Okay, I didn't have time really to discuss with Nada, but sometimes we sit and we talk. For next year, you need to inform, my opinion is you need to inform the people who are going to really, the schools, I mean, who are going to take part, that time is needed so that they are sure they choose two people who are not as workaholics and overwhelmed with responsibilities like me and Nada. Because we really, if you see how many يعني ما بعرف شو حاملين كم شغله وانا بعتقد in all the schools this year I think I don't know أكيد I don't know everything. Everybody's tired, administrations, teachers, they're doing everything times 10. I think Okay, they can speak for themselves, but I think so. Just for next year, if you can put them more in the loop. لأنه we were saying after midnight to try and read, to try and catch up. The nice thing that I liked is the continuous progress report that we were getting from Yasmin. And it's good, and we're getting it on, we used it. To be very honest with you, we used it and abused it. يعني احنا عندنا ان اس دي جي جروب، كنا عم ببعث لهم الفايل على الواتساب، لانه ما بدنا يقولوا ما قرينا الايميل وما شفنا وما عملنا. ومعنا سور نوال على الجروب، وكان سور نوال على طول عم تعطيهم كومنتس. كنا عم نعمل meetings every now and then because نحن we did not force anyone to take part. As we told you, we gave them the choice. Ms. Nada gave them the choice, and she said it's not mandatory. You want بس إذا قررتوا تفوتوا فيها تمشوا فيها للآخر. نحن بكل شيء competitions وبكل شيء workshops وبكل شيء بنعمله مع التلاميذ بنشتغل هيك. ما عندنا شيء mandatory إلا الصف. بس كل شيء بنعمله extra curricular para academic. They know it's part of growing up. We do inform them, but we never force them. لأنه forcing them might as well إنه ما نعملها، لأنه ما رح يشتغلوها من قلبهم. هلا نحن حسب تلاميذنا نحن المدرسة ساعدت من ناحية، وأكيد مس ندى فيها تحكي أكثر، أجلت لهم فحصين أو 3 لما كانوا عم يلحقوا بقى. تأجل فحصين يعني بدل ما يكون بالذات الويك تبع السبمشن أجلوا لهم هي جمعة لما بقى يعملوا ستريس، لأنه عملوا anxiety attacks. يعني
لا ما بدنا
كثير. No, they are working hard for them. For their age, it's something, doctor. لإلهم ولعمرهم it's a big deal. فنحن عم نشوفهم عم يجوا على المدرسة لأنه they need good internet connection let's say، وعم يشتغلوا، عم يقعدوا in groups in different classes لأنه في social distancing ممنوع يقعدوا كثير قراب من بعضهم. عم يجوا after school hours كرمال كمان لما يكون في حركة بالمدرسة، وعم يكون كلهم عم نحضر لهم كل شيء وعم يطلعوا يشتغلوا لأنه بدهم جود انترنت. بتعرفي بالبيت أوقات ما بيساعد الانترنت. صح. نحن من ناحيتنا we are moving fine till now, at least to our knowledge. We are following up very closely. But for next year, by the way, the sessions are very nice. Very nice. أنا حضرتهم، مس ندى حضرتهم، مس كيتي حضرتهم، ما بعرف عن مس كارن لأن مس ندى كانت عم تتابع معها، وصار نوال اللي حضرت قسم كبير. Very very informative and very friendly. يعني بتقعد هيك بتلتزي، يعني بيقطع الفيديو هيك يو listen. بعدين حلو انه على طول هيك في exercises، لانه انا ضلني عم بتسمع اذا حدا يحكي لوش، لانه بعرف انه بدي احل exercise من بعده. This is very nice, very clear, very clear. The information, the way you are giving the information is so هيك systematic, methodical and clear. بس برجع بقول my only point وقلتها من قبل لياسمين I think Miss ياسمين I said it and maybe كمان أكيد she relayed the message to you إنه بس إنه ما يكون مدرسة عليها ضغط هالقد. يعني ساعتها مش هي المدرسة كلهم عليهم ضغط، بساعتها نص الشخص يكون عنده مسؤوليات أقل. بس هذه هي الفكرة. نحن we're doing everything.
لا it's clear.
نحن مدرسة أومولوجي، أخذنا هلا الأومولوجاسيون، عندك طلبات ما شو عم نلحق، ما عم نلحق يعني. أكيد
لا we do understand. we will cover all of these إن شاء الله in today's session. نحن حاسين فيكم واكيد نحن
بس the kids are fine. the kids are fine. نحن ما حسسناهم شيء ابدا. The kids are fine and they are moving along with their projects and they know what they want and they know what they're doing. وعم بقولوا مس ندى نحن مرتاحين، بس طلب الفحوصات ومس ندى ومس جيسي اخذوا بعين الاعتبار واشتغلوا مع سور نوال وريحوهم.
Awesome. ايه نحن بخصوص التايم فريم this year it was more intensive than how it should be. نحن this program يعني it's designed صراحة for a 4-month duration، بس لأنه يعني we wanted to pilot it this year عملناه ب 2 months.
4 months would make more sense. Definitely.
So this is how it's gonna be in the future.
For the advisors.
Yes. Okay. Sure. We will talk more about roles and responsibilities of each. يعني the teachers وشباب lab team كيف بدنا نقسمها كل هيدا. We will talk about all of this today. Thank you كتير Carla for your يعني feedback and time and your continuous follow up with the students. وانك عم تحملي كل اسئلتهم، مع انه مش كل اسئلتهم صح لازم يجوا لعندكم. حنحكي اكثر بهالموضوع today. Maybe next year in the training of trainers we can make this very clear from the beginning, and in the info sessions to the students. If you have مثلا these kinds of questions, this is where you send them. If you have these kinds of questions, you talk to your teachers. So حنجرب نفصل هول الامور and we will talk more about it
بس
today.
السيشنز روعه دكتور، روعه يعني. انا بهنيكم، اسمحي لي
Thank you.
اهنيكم.
Thank you so
very
much.
informative. يعني بسطنا انا وندى، كنا عم نشوفهم وعم نتعلم، عم نقول لها عن جد شو بيتعلم الواحد قصص.
أكيد ونحن this is something we want you to be mastering كرمال كمان to be able to handle the student
نحن مشان
groups.
هيك انقهرنا انا وندى، لانه نحن بدنا نتعلم اكثر. شفتي مش انا مش فرقانه معنا، بدنا يعني اثنيناتنا حشورين وثنيناتنا نفوت بكل شيء تريننجز وهيك بنحب. بس الفكره انه ما عاد عم نلحق، ما عندنا يعني need to sleep at least 5 hours.
Yes, I totally agree.
And you have a demanding rector. Very demanding.
It's clear. بس صراحة very good results كمان. So كمان أنا
الحمد لله.
بهنيكم.
اليوم كمان اجينا عن competition كمان صرنا finalist فيها. الحمد لله الحمد لله.
You're doing great. Awesome. Thank you so much, Carla. نحن we will cover everything you mentioned in the session, and you will be briefed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your lovely team. They are excellent, very professional. Thank you for your professionalism. Good luck لبقية المدارس كمان. We are so proud to be also with you. BHS شفت والACS وIC
وروضة هاي سكول. صح.
روضة هاي سكول وما لحقت إذا بعد في غيرنا.
لا أنتوا هن 5.
فوالا يا حنة. Okay. Nice to see you all. Good luck لنا كلنا.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Let us see you in a while. Bye.
So I would like to spend around 10 minutes maybe. I'm gonna share the link again in the chat for the Jamboard small exercise, because as you know we are in Shabab Lab we are using virtual learning, and more specifically asynchronous virtual learning, and we wanted maybe كمان to give you room to express your feelings, frustrations, any pros and cons you believe you want to talk about virtual learning. We're not gonna go into a lot of depth there. However, I think it would be really nice for us to have this a quick discussion, because it is also relevant to us. So if you can go to the Jamboard link that I sent on the chat. And
I just have to download the application on the phone. I'm waiting for it to download, okay?
Okay.
So that I can open the Jamboard thing.
Or
It's not opening.
did it give you like a reason?
It opened, but it's blank. I can't see anything.
1 second. Anybody was able to open it?
Yes, I was able.
Okay, maybe I will share also my screen to see. So Nada, can you try one more time, please?
Yes, I am trying.
Okay, so what we're gonna be doing, I'm gonna share my screen again. Simply in Jamboard, we create sticky notes. So I divided the sheet into 2 sides, the pros and the cons. And based on your experience, it's not theoretical, it's based on your year and a half experience with virtual so far. What are things that are working? What are things that are not working? Because I mean, all of us now, we have like strong opinions about everything virtual, not just virtual learning, working from home, virtual meetings, and so on. So with a sticky note, you can basically share your opinions. So I'm gonna share my screen. Okay, so for example, for me, a pro of virtual learning is that like you have no geographical boundaries. And our classes at AUB, like I bring a lot of guest speakers usually, and I'm bringing them people from like the US, from UAE, from like different you know, places in the world. So this was something I could never have done physically. So this was for me a pro for virtual learning, for example. So, and you don't have just to like do it, we can discuss as well. So also from an asynchronous perspective, what do you think are some pros? Based on the feedback session with the students, a lot of them actually liked, like what they liked most about asynchronous was that they could do it at their own pace. And whenever they had, you know, they felt like it's the right time to do it, like they're not bound by a certain time in the day. And like based on our data analytics, we realized that a lot of them were like doing some modules on Sundays, for example. Whereas if this is, you know, synchronous, you cannot schedule a session on a Sunday in Lebanon, of course. So maybe we can spend a few minutes doing this, and I'll invite everybody to unmute and discuss. Like it is just, yeah, a discussion. It's not a homework. Okay, so I like that it's, somebody mentioned learning difficulties. Yes, so it might be more inclusive. I agree. And by the way, we do have plans to make the Shabab Lab platform very inclusive and accessible to people with disabilities. So we are working with some experts on that front to identify some design requirements for accessibility reasons, to be able to accommodate what we call people of determination in this learning experience. Any cons for virtual?
They put time consuming on part of the teacher.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Asil mentioned something on the chat about keeping everyone on the same pace of learning. On the chat on Zoom.
At the same pace, you mean, Asil, is it a pro of virtual? Or is it a challenge?
No, I think it's a challenge, honestly.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I think it's a challenge because you need to kind of, because you ask the question, and I think everyone would be abroad with me and no answer and nothing. Like, do you understand? There's nothing, especially when their cameras are off. And, you know, you don't know, like, between the virtual and the physical interaction. This is where there's this critical line of knowing really and trusting that the student is understanding the material and is on board, like not on the same level, but like of the minimal level of understanding with everyone in the room.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yes, it's a very good point. And honestly, it's very frustrating at the university level because like we have no control over them to like open their cameras.
Yeah, I teach at LEU, so I have the same frustration, if you may call it. The fact like they are there, but they're not there. So this is where you adapt your questions on an individual level. I mean, luckily maybe I have a small class at LEU that I can control. But yeah, I mean, it's this is where I adapted after a couple of months of asking like directed questions to individuals. And this is where I know. And the funny story is that one time I had a student who did not reply. And then after the class, he said that he fell asleep in my class. Yeah. So yeah, this is, I mean, unfortunately, but this is how we keep record of people like staying in touch with us or not.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I totally like agree with you. Some more like cons are technical issues. Yeah, especially in Lebanon, I would say like the technical problems have been increasing. Unfortunately, like the internet connection has been getting worse by the day. the electricity cutoffs. Not everybody, you know, has a power backup, and so on. So they will be disconnected many times. I would say definitely the Lebanese ecosystem is not helping in virtual learning or even working from home, and it is somehow costly to invest in backup connections, backup power supplies, and so on and so forth. So maybe not everybody can afford it or is willing to invest this, because it also needs effort, not just money. Online assessments, yeah, I totally agree. It's still a very big challenge right now. Any more pros maybe? So other than what we mentioned, misunderstanding lessons, okay, for the cons. Awesome. So anybody would like to comment on what we have, or you think it's fine?
I think, sorry, the pros is actually having several platforms, the options of having several platforms to engage our students technologically. I think this is a pro. I mean, we learned so much throughout these 2 years or a year and a half, is that there are so many tools that we could reach the learning to our students and to engage them more rather than talking all the time.
Yes, I totally agree, and I know from my kids that maybe in this year they've learned more IT than they've learned, and I don't know, their past life. So
exactly, and this is where the world is heading. I mean, we can't deny that this is the tools and the skills that they're having is that it's gonna serve them hopefully for the best outcome that is gonna come out of the COVID, and everything is gonna be online. And I think the skills that they're learning is very important. We can't deny this.
yes, especially that also if they are going to end up working in multinational companies, being entrepreneurs, they will have to manage remote teams. They will have to have collaborations across the globe. And this thing of meeting online, I know because I worked also at the beginning of my career at a multinational company in telecom, this is something that's very regular way before COVID. And now everybody has made it the new normal for them. So it is a skill that they have acquired, how to work in teams virtually, how to brainstorm together, how to meet together, and yeah. So I think this is definitely very important, especially that we're gonna only see more and more of that because now again the physical boundaries have been destroyed, and we're gonna be seeing more diverse and across national teams in the workplace, and even in universities. A lot of universities, including AUB, for example, now are working on a bundle of online programs. And this will be a trend, I believe, a big trend to come. They're still it's now still getting hot, but it's gonna become fruitful very soon. This is really great. Any more comments on this before we move on to our next agenda topic? All right, so I'm going to share my screen again.
No comments, but I agree with that online learning has a problem with the contact, with not having any contact with the students. It's very difficult. Sometimes I think that I'm talking alone with no response. That's very bad.
Yeah, I
even
totally
if I say
agree.
a joke and they want me to laugh and just put mute again. It's a bit lame.
Yeah, I totally hear you. I know. Yes, totally. So yeah, I mean, fortunately now we're back to hybrid. I hope that at least we can maintain hybrid for some time, because in schools, yes, it's easier to be in control maybe in a physical environment, and we realized that maybe yes, if there was this physical interaction between you and the students, things would have been maybe a little bit different. So these are some Web4 Change stats for this year. We have 42 teams. who are working on their solutions. We have 127 students in total. From ACS, we have 4 students. They kept it like very optional. So that's why we ended up with a small number, but it's still okay. From Collège Saint-Cœur, we have 31 and 8 teams. From Romana High School, we have 32 students and 11 teams. From IC, we have 52 students and 17 teams. And from Rauda, we have 8 students with 4 teams. So these are just some statistics for you to know where we stand. And I want to let you know that we had a student feedback session last week with them. I believe Nada and Carla attended those sessions. I'm not gonna like tell you all the feedback that we got, but maybe we can send it in a report to you. This is a snapshot from Yasmin's notes. So we like captured some quotations. They told us more about the videos, how they liked the content, about how they understood now entrepreneurship and how this understanding has changed. They talked to us about what they loved and what didn't work well and some challenges. We noted all of this down and we are taking it very, very seriously. I even want to show you one thing, and this I'm gonna be sending to IC, because I ended up with a breakout room with like mostly IC students for some reason. And we had really good feedback, which I asked to be transcribed because it was awesome feedback. So I have here like 4.5 pages of transcription from 4 IC students and one Saint-Cœur student actually. And we're gonna be compiling these and sending them to you. It was mostly very positive, and some of them pointed out that they needed a little more time, and in some other like breakout rooms the time factor was emphasized even more, and we're gonna be talking about this. So this is for the 1 second. Just give me a moment. Yeah. So I'll go back to my slides. All right, and I'll tell you more about what happened. So we did ask them to open their cameras. We had like a fun activity as an icebreaker. These are some photos from the activities. They were very well engaged, I would say, and they did respond well to our requests. So most of them opened their cameras. We had around 70, more than 70, sorry, participants in the meeting, which corresponds to more than half of the participants. And in the meeting, we talked about several things. One of the most important things we wanted to address is how to make their solutions stand out. And this is also like you need to be knowing this, because honestly, we still didn't have time to check their submitted ideas. And if they're asking you questions, in order for this to be better, it has to be specific. Like we don't want to solve, for example, water pollution in general. This is too broad, and water means it could be the ocean, it could be the water that we drink, it could be the rivers. So there are like, water pollution is very broad. So they should always think more specific, and they should think about their community and not just like, you know, the world, or like, you know, the Asia, or like Lebanon in general. Even Lebanon, although it's a very small country, but yet we cannot as youth come up with a solution and say it's like for the entire country. It has to be very specific at first. We wanted them to think of a plan for the long term. So like in order to mitigate with this specificity that not everybody feels comfortable with, like to compensate, they can have a plan on how this will grow and how it will become bigger and target like more than just the very small circle that they will be starting with. And finally, like highlighting the community impact. Again, this is, as you all know, as part of their community service. So this should be relevant to their close community. It cannot be, again, like, you know, like, I don't know, I want to save the pandas in China. Like this is not your community. So they have to work on something that pertains to them and the people around them, even if that is a small community. It could be like my building, it could be my neighborhood, my street, it could be my school, it could be one building in my school, like the secondary building, for example. So this is how we think it will make them stand out. So sometimes students think that the bigger, the better. No, on the contrary, in these ideas, because they will be like evaluated on the feasibility, it means the more specific, the better. So you have to also know this in order for us to be aligned together. These are also more snapshots from the breakout rooms. And we ask them through Mentimeter some questions, and we are very glad that we got mostly positive responses. So whether the platform is friendly, the content is engaging, the content is relevant to their needs, the assignments are straightforward. Sorry. Yeah, whether they're enjoying the teamwork, they're excited to present their solutions at the end, they would like to be part of Shabab Lab and next year's program, whether they believe their team will win. And many told us, like, I'm not just here to win, I'm here also to learn and like to do this project, and like we really want to implement it. So that was good to hear. We also wanted to see how much they are gaining the skills that we are equipping them with, like social innovation, design thinking, web development, coming up with sustainable solution ideas, becoming social entrepreneurs, and being responsible citizens. And as you can see, the results are mostly on the right end of the spectrum, which is really good. And then we asked them about ranking their best modules. The best one they enjoyed is design thinking. And this is very good for us because our whole methodology or framework follows the design thinking process. So it's very good to hear that they really enjoyed it. And second was the web development, which is the core technology component of the program. Also, it's very good to see that they have enjoyed it. Any comments on what I just mentioned before we move to the next agenda item?
Yeah, I think from the ICT perspective, since we have known about this initiative and this project quite late in the academic year, I'm sure that the students' performances and the students' attendances or actually being more engaged in the project would have been more efficient. I mean, in that sense, I would agree. The second part is that being part of the CAS project, which is part of the IB program, but then again, if I put it in the Shabab Lab, is yes, we are trying to open up their minds into the fact, like, you don't have to deal with the whole community in order to achieve something. It could be part of your building, it could be part of one street that you live in. It can't be major. It doesn't, not because it's minimal, but it's the effect of it. Okay. It's much more important than the expansion of it. So the students, they're not used to it. And I think it's part of our community as our culture. We're really emotional into our projects and making change. And I think if I may just say something, is that maybe in the program, with all the respect that we kind of talk about the anthropology and the socio-anthropology of like the approach of our projects to such communities, is that we are not aiming for big change. Hopefully it will be there, but the small change can do something. But because we're emotional human beings, and especially our communities, we tend to like make sense of it, is that if it's not big, it doesn't mean like we were achieving something. You know what I mean?
Yes, totally. And actually, Asil, what you're saying, like, is very, very important. And we did like mention this in the videos. Is like and maybe this should be more clear. And like you can tell us as well. Maybe you can reinforce this thought in the next, like next year's programs. We like mentioned that social innovation is not about creating drastic changes, but like these like stepwise changes, and even like from the examples we gave in the modules, they showed how specific these social innovations were from the local context. Like, for example, a platform that aims to hire people with disabilities is as specific as that, not to, remove inequalities from the world. It's just that. But maybe we need to stress this more, because yes, I totally agree with you that we have this tendency as a culture maybe to try to solve the entire population's problems, which is not very possible. So maybe it is something that we need to like emphasize and highlight more.
And Muna, we did relay this message, but the problem was that even after we did, the problems they chose were still general. So like maybe we could do something to actually make them feel that I think having their problems as general as they were shows that they think about the community as a whole, and not just about, we kept telling them be specific, and it was so hard for them.
Yes.
I think Sherbil also faced this issue with his students.
Yes, I
so they
faced this
always
issue
have
with
general
students.
problems.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very common problem, and
Though
yes,
some
I
of them
believe
were
we
able
can-
to do at the end some beautiful
Yeah.
problems to fix. And
Yeah.
I was checking yesterday the problems of my students. I was amazed, with some problems and with some solutions. I loved what they have done.
Great.
Exactly.
That's great. Yeah. Okay. So definitely something that we will keep in mind and like reinforce, because I see it's a recurring problem and something that definitely needs to be addressed. So this is well taken from our side, from the content perspective, I would say, and reinforcing this idea whenever there's a submission. Now I wanted to mention that for the time frame, as I told Carla at the beginning, this was exceptionally a 2-month program, but these programs are more designed to be like a semester long. And maybe here I can hear from you more, because you are like, the school system better and so on. Do you think we can just say it's a semester long, or should it be a 4-month long, but not necessarily abiding by a semester as is, given that, like, for example, we start the first semester at the beginning of the academic year, it's September. I don't know if you guys as teachers or supervisors will be busy with other things and so on. So how do you, what do you recommend when it comes to these 4 months that they need to spend in the WUP for Change, for example, the grade 10 program? Where should they fit?
هلا بالنسبة لي the deadline was very short. كان 1 week deadline or 10 days deadline between a module and another was a very short time. They need a bigger time lapse. But however, I heard a lot of comments from my students that there was a lot of repetition. The information could be done in a much smaller time. They didn't need that time. The modules and the videos, they were taking a lot of time, and they could be reduced to a smaller amount of time. That's what I heard from my students. I tried to watch some modules. I thought a little bit that they have some point. The courses could be reduced into some minimal. There was a lot of repetition in some points. If other students faced this problem, but all my students تقريبا قالوا لي the same thing.
Okay, I think we need a bit more specific insights on that, because I actually like one of the students in the feedback session said like there was no repetition. So I don't know. I'm very interested to learn more. Maybe we can ask them specifically where they felt the repetition was, so that we like avoid this in the future. Yeah. So this is an important point.
It's not one student who told me that. There are a lot of students who told me the same
sure.
comment. I had a weekly session with them to discuss the Shabab Lab, and each week they told me the same comment, and many students did that.
So Sherbil, if you could ask them, like, in next week's session, is that you could ask them مثلا is that they could give us some examples, and then just let me know on WhatsApp or just call me, بس so that نحن يعني the whole point of the session هو to make
Yes.
everything better. So we will definitely take it into consideration. But if you can, يعني next session, if you can give us like more specific
I
examples,
will ask the students who told me
please.
that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I
course,
see
of course. Thank you.
Shalimar has her hand as well.
Yes. When in my case, I have the Ali Ghandour Center students, and it was mainly, it was not optional, it was obligatory. They had to يعني they had to enroll in Shabab Lab, because basically grade 10 يعني specifically at AGC, what they need to do during this level is to be trained, is to يعني be trained on specific subjects and all of that. So basically, because they started a bit late, we had Shabab Lab as an obligatory platform or obligatory competition where they had to enroll in. But the thing is, it was actually a very short period. And 2 months were not enough, because they were already overwhelmed with their subjects and their already their exams and their projects at school. And honestly, I felt like because it was an asynchronous, and I tried to make them enjoy it even more. They did it. ما انه عندهم let there and all of that, and it was يعني هيك I tried to make it يعني انه اقول لهم انه why the reason why we chose it, بس انه yeah 2 months is really very short. انه I think 4 months not necessarily يعني يكون a semester, بس انه 4 good months during the year where they can follow up on the modules and at the same time work on their assignments. This is 1. 2, and I've already mentioned that to you, and I guess we spoke about it earlier. And I know my students, they were already, because they were already enrolled in similar platforms and similar competitions before. And مش Shabab Lab, but they have other titles.
Yeah.
حسيت some of the students were كمان they were talking about repetition, and they know this material and they've been introduced to it before, لأنه they were in another they were already enrolled in another competitions and platforms. So بركي مثلا يكون كل حدا فيهم كل حدا من هدول platforms مثلا شباب لاب وفي كم other ones انه يكونوا a bit different عن بعضهم، حتى انه الستودنتس لان نحن طلبنا منهم انه it's obligatory انه يكونوا enrolled ان يحسوا حالهم انه they are taking something new. لو at least they even mentioned انه في exercises في modules في parts فيهم they are exactly the same. So بس اذا فيهم يكونوا بس انه شوي different لحتى يحسوا حالهم انه هن عم بيشوفوا غير اشياء، they're getting introduced to something really new. اكيد في لا شك الاكثريه هن انه it was new to them and they really enjoyed it. they were very happy with the modules, although the assignments were rushed بس they were really
Yeah, I just want to clarify one point, Shalimar. Well taken هيدول الpoints, but for the exact same modules هيدي مش the same program. What happened is some students by mistake they took other courses on the platform but not the Web for Change. صح هن في redundancy. But they shouldn't have done the other courses outside of the Web for Change, but I don't know what happened. So this is something Kamena we noted down, and we're gonna make sure next time they don't take the other courses, because yes, some of the videos are exactly the same. But in the Web for Change itself, ما في redundancy in terms of the videos. Each one is a different video, but there is repetition. I'll tell you where's the repetition, and I don't know if that is what you are هذا بدي افهم بحكي من students more. We revisit, for example, the design thinking methodology several times. Revisit in like 1 minute, like remember, this is why we started, because the whole program follows the methodology. So from a pedagogical perspective, we have to do this repetition. But إذا في other repetition, we can maybe remove. Definitely.
I did not mean انه they accessed another platform, لانه رجعنا زبطناها. Thank you to Yasmin for all the support كمان، لانه في some of the students they filled another platform, فتحوا على another module ورجعوا زبطوا. بس انا I meant انه تتذكري at the beginning of the year وقت بلشوا مع شباب لاب we mentioned مثلا تتذكري كان في e-club or something like that. So هدول اللي هن اخذينهم قبل، الماتيريال rings a bell a lot. Yeah.
Totally, yes. Another?
But sorry, I had the connection blackout. Could you repeat where did you think the repetition was? Mona.
لا أنا عم أقول نحن we revisit the design thinking methodology in several videos مش بنرجع بنعيدها بس برجع بذكرهم إنه نحن remember مثلا وقت حكينا prototyping module إنه remember in the design thinking methodology prototyping is the fourth step. أوكي بنرجع نقول إنه we start with empathy يعني كان في هيدا التذكير أنا بسميه تذكير أكثر من repetition بس for students maybe it's like I don't know. I'm not sure if this is what they meant.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, me neither. So.
I will ask them, of course.
Yeah, sure. Nada?
Can I ask for maybe kind of, because the age group we're dealing with is that, okay, they're getting used to the online platform and their views are done there and so on. But do you think like it would be a nice idea, at least for this age group, is that I know Yasmin was sending us all these reports, and I think this is on our behalf that we need to communicate it directly, face to face. Like I think what's missing is that the students are getting confused, and they know it's written out there, but there's no like communication.
See, your voice is cutting.
Communication with them. We can once. Can you hear me?
Now بس أنا ما بعرف if it's my internet بس I didn't hear anything before.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes.
now I can.
So you said they were confused. You said they were getting confused and then we didn't.
They were getting, yes, they were getting confused, and I think it's more of a psychological thing that in this age group they got used to the verbal communication with them, and then everything is online on the platform. And I know Yasmin was sending us all of these reports. So do you think there's one step we could do that we can, as coaches, to talk to them verbally about their performance and about their their contributions and everything, the progress of the work verbally? Like, do you think the coaches can play a role along with the progress of their work? Because I think with this age group, this is what it's missing, because they are in school and they got used to the verbal communication and the verbal feedback, and everything is done online. So they really don't know if this is very individualistic or like it's really directed to them, or we're sending this broad message to everyone. So I want just to suggest this as part of your process, if it's not.
No, it is actually, Asil, it is.
Yeah.
And it's one of the slides we're gonna get to. Roles and responsibilities of like the teachers versus the Shabab Lab team. And yes, I'll give you one example. Maybe Sharbil can talk more about this. In BHS in Romana High School, they have a weekly meeting, a live meeting, like now virtual, but so
oh wow, that's amazing.
I envision it to be physical, maybe if there is like normal circumstances, and they had follow up with the students. So yes, we did expect to have such a thing, but we didn't want to impose the actual method. Like each school does it its own way. For example, in Sanker case, they had a lot of like interaction and communication with the students using different channels. Also, Nada maybe can tell us more. So, and one thing is for us to share this experience and maybe see best practices for others to learn from. But I believe that this weekly meeting thing, I can see it could be very helpful. And yes, we do count honestly on the role of the supervisors and teachers to be making sure that everything is in order, I would say. Nada, you have your hand raised as well for some time now.
Yeah. First of all, I want to thank you for all the work. As my colleagues here said, the modules are very well prepared for all age ranges. I mean, if you are into entrepreneurship or not, you would understand it. If you're old or young, you would understand it fully. Concerning the duration of the project, yes, you are right. 4 months would be much better. You asked about when exactly we can do this. Uh, Personally, I think there should be a certain kind of vacation that would be taken into account. For example, this year it was Easter vacation, but the students had to work on the module. So, I mean, probably sometimes the vacation we would like to think of it that maybe it's the time for the students to take a break from things, and then they would have to do something, but not the bulk of the project, not to coincide with any big vacation in I mean in schools. But I suggest that probably the best thing would be between either February, May, or the first term of the school, because both have drawbacks. You know, at the beginning, you want them to be motivated. In the second term, it's easy for us to get them motivated, but towards the end of the year, they would just want to give up. They are tired. They have so many things on their plate. So many things are at stake here. They want their grades at school. We had to postpone 2 exams for them so that they can
Thank you about
really
that.
do this project. Yeah, but I mean, it took us a lot of reconsideration of and rescheduling of the exams, and then we had to just postpone for the I mean to relieve the stress a little bit, because they were really under a lot of stress, and they wanted to meet the deadlines, that they were running out of time. And I mean, at the end of the day, in this period of lockdown, of Corona, we think of the well-being of students also. I mean, on so many levels, not just the level of just being. It's also alleviating a little bit the load of studies, the load of exams.
Yes, totally.
So that's these are my suggestions. If the vacation is to be included within these 4 months, which naturally is going to be the case, I prefer that the bulk would not coincide within this vacation.
Okay, I totally see it. Okay, point well taken. I wanted to mention something regarding the deadlines. This is also like an information, like I think the deadlines are not that rigid, but it is up to the school to flex them a bit. So we didn't want to say, yeah, it's fine, because we didn't want to be unfair with like some people versus others. But it's like let's talk about next year. It's like your say, like you know, it's your decision whether you want to change the deadlines of the submissions on the platform. You know what I mean? So for your students, at least, as long as we meet the final deadline, we are really fine with what's in between. You know, like for us, it doesn't really matter if they are 1, 2, 3 days late. That's not part of the score. But we wanted, like, again, remember we had also like ranges of how we envision them to finish different modules, because we know it's self-paced and different students will like do it at a different pace. But
honestly, sorry. Honestly, I didn't know that it was up to the schools to set their own deadlines. I mean, now I'm hearing of it for the first time, but I noticed that you are flexible in the deadlines. So I mean, when we were progressing in the program, in the project, I noticed that you are being flexible. But for the students, for them to miss the deadline, even if you are flexible, they would consider that they are missing the deadline. So it's another, if you want, it's another additional factor of stress for them. But I didn't know that it was up to us to set the limits or the deadlines for the submission. I mean, we will be taking it into account for next year.
So these deadlines are like
But for the
guidelines or suggestions. They're suggested deadlines from our side, but again, like we really want the schools to own the process and not us.
Because you asked us in the TOT, you asked us if we were okay with the dates, and
sure.
said okay, we were okay. But I mean, you know, so many things can happen with all the ups and downs, and
course.
online and in person, and all the schedules that are changing also at school. So I don't know.
Yes, totally. So I think Asi is asking about the results. We're planning to announce them by June 10th. So this is our like
June
our
10th.
goal.
And concerning the deadline for the 25th, that's the official deadline. I mean, you will not be flexible in
Maybe
the.
like really not more than 2 days, because otherwise the
Okay.
jury won't have enough time to go over them, because I mean we have 42 teams and probably we have to do this in 2 rounds, you know, like we're gonna look at all of them, have like at least 10 to 15 top ones, and from the 10 to 15 we will choose the top 3. You know what I mean? So it will take time to do the selection process based on criteria, to be fair and everything, and to have multiple evaluators, you know, it takes time. So yeah, this is why like maximum May 27. If you believe in عن جد May 25 is too like ضغط, but not more, I would say. All right, طيب عظيم. I will share again my screen, and I think we need to move a bit faster. We had one issue with Google Access for IC. So for the IC teachers, maybe you want to note this down. We were using Google, like the Google bundle or Google Suite in terms of Google Slides, Google Jamboard, and so on. And we asked the students to submit a link. However, for IC case, the access is restricted to IC only. So we couldn't access. I had like workaround because my kids are IC. So I have IC emails. However, I don't think this is the right way to do it. For Bromana High School, we realized that you don't have a Google, like the BHS accounts are not Google. However, still we couldn't access the students. I don't know if it was a matter of access rights, and this is something we can make clear in the like submission guidelines, or what exactly.
I didn't have access to the Jamboard of my students because I have my BHS email, and I tried to enter through my BHS email to access the Jamboard links, but I wasn't able to.
Do you know if your BHS email, Sharbil, is a Google account, or you're not sure?
I tried to log in through my BHS email to the Google account, but it wouldn't work. They told me I need a Google account to
Okay, so
so
it's
that I
not
can
a Google account. So maybe it's about access rights. Come in, we're gonna make sure that like for next time we make it clear that they need like in the access to give like anybody with this link can view.
Yes, you need to
So
access through Google.
yes, okay, yeah, I know this is a drawback. Did you feel that this was a drawback, but to use like Google, or do you prefer just like files to be uploaded on the platform? You can tell us and we can adjust accordingly.
I think files would be uploading files to the platform was better. I think it's
Okay.
easier to use. I'm not sure if it works with the whole process. Yeah.
The beauty of Jamboard, I was wishing, يعني, if we had access to the Jamboard and we can like add more sticky notes as comments, you know what I mean? Whereas in like if it's a PDF or a JPEG, you can't like interact a lot with the submission except by writing a comment. So مشان هيك we thought like let's keep it a Jamboard link, because it would be nice to add some sticky notes and like to correct
Yes,
on top
that's
of
right,
what they
that's right.
have. بس انه ايه بس ما ظبطت خصوصي مع مثلا الاي سي, and I don't know if you'll have more schools with the same like access issue, and I'm not sure if they can do anything about it in terms of like it's an IT policy, you know. So this is something that we have to reconsider maybe. Now I want to talk about the content. There's a lot of questions here. Maybe we can have each one of you can quickly tell us how confident they are about the content provided on the platform, because again, we do expect you to be able to answer students' questions if they're not sure if their problem is good enough or their solution is like specific enough or so on, like for you to be able to be able to answer them. So how confident are you? Maybe 1 is not confident at all, 5 is like very confident. Did the training of trainers help you to better master the content and be more confident? How often did you log into the platform? Like, did you make use, like Carla mentioned, like she was trying as much as possible to watch some of the videos herself, but like she was overwhelmed with other tasks. So how often did you log into the platform, whether to just monitor the students' work or to also like do some of the modules yourself? Why so? Like if you couldn't log in at all, like tell us why. Did you attempt to watch some of the videos? If not, why not? How did you find them if you did? And did you find any personal benefit, like personal or professional benefit beyond this specific role as like supervising the student work on Shabab Lab? And how can we make you more confident about the content? Like, for example, shall we spend a longer time in the training of trainers? Shall we, for example, provide a crash course for you on the platform itself? So maybe we can, I don't know, like do it quickly, like each one of you can attempt to answer these questions if possible. Who would like to start?
Okay, let's start. I used to access their platform on a weekly basis to check each Wednesday. I used to go on the platform and check my students' progress on the website. It helped me a lot, and what helped me a lot also was the progress report that Yasmin used to send us every week. Thank you for that. It was very, very helpful. Thank you. Other than that, I tried to watch some of the modules. After the first modules, the first modules, it was nice, but I was very overwhelmed. I couldn't watch the rest, but I liked what I watched. I really liked what I watched. They are very helpful, and it is truly a community service. We are trying to do something for the community. هلا ما بعرف إذا it will always be on an environmental basis لأنه we all know هلا الوضع بلبنان. ما بعرف إذا people will think a lot and will try to invest in environmental stuff, but that's my point of view. يعني ما بعرف إذا we could tackle other problems next year بركة.
For grade 10 عم نفكر نحن انه web for change for like at least 2-3 years time, and grade 11 a totally different thing لانه كل سنة you'll have like new grade 10 students, so like it's repetitive for the supervisors but not for the students. So yeah, this is what we're gonna talk about this more. Thank you, Sharbil, for sharing.
Thank you for the great content, really.
Well, what about Yusuf? ما سمعنا صوته بعد.
Mona Kanin also joined us.
Okay, hi Kanin.
No, sorry, but I have to leave. Is there anything that I should know other than that?
Maybe we'll like send you a recap because we still have some
Perfect.
things to discuss. Okay, thank you so
I would
much.
appreciate that a lot.
Sure.
I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you,
So who would like to go next? Asil?
Exactly what you're looking for, Mona. The feedback. Okay, let me check it. It was more of the time constraint that we especially at IC that we got to know about Shabab Lab at an early later stage. So when the discussion was happening about scheduling, is that I'm sure about the fact that if we know about Shabab Lab, is that in November, let's say we pitch this to our students and they have time to kind of explore and to go throughout the process, then things will go fine. I mean, this is what I have to say. It's more of the scheduling rather than anything else, and the verbal communication between the coaches and the students.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So yeah, if we would also like to know how we can better help you feel confident about the content so that you support the students. So you can tell me we are super confident and that was like, I don't know, 10 years back, it's fine.
I mean, I'm sorry, I'm attending like courses actually on Coursera and so on. So it's for me as a teacher, I'm familiar with
Great.
this online platform. So it wasn't that difficult for me to get used to it. So definitely as a teacher, as a coach, if I now I actually know the content of Shabab Lab, I can go with the flow with my students and I can tell them like the process. So it would have been interesting that I would have this, if you want, this orientation about Shabab Lab and everything way beforehand that my students know about. And then I
لا
would
في الكورنر
be very comfortable and confident into guiding them
عم
along
بيطلع
the
في
process.
الشادو.
Yeah, I totally agree. Okay, sounds good. So for you, starting in November, will give room for both teachers and students to be better prepared. Okay, sounds great. Who would also like Yusuf? Would you like to comment on the Rauda's ما بعرف يعني experience from your side? How was it for you?
Doctor,
Yes.
is it just for Rauda or I can
No,
leave
yeah,
my
sure. I was just trying to pick someone, but yeah, fine. Definitely, you can go ahead.
Okay, so I will go for all the questions all at once. Concerning the content, I am confident when I'm reading it, I am confident, but still, when the students ask me a question, usually I feel I'm a bit insecure in answering them because I don't know, it's a bit of a big responsibility to just answer them, and I haven't done the practical part of it, if you know what I mean. It's just like I'm watching the videos and I'm seeing I mean the other work. The TOT honestly didn't help me to master the content, the TOT that you did at the beginning, but it helped me understand more about the project. That's when I realized that it was a big load of responsibility over I mean to the coaches, and that was in the TOT. But concerning the content, no, I knew what the modules were, but I cannot say that I became better at mastering the content. Concerning the platform, it's not like once a week or 2 weeks. It's I mean, whenever I have the time, I check the platform. Sometimes it's I mean a couple of or maybe 3 weekends ago I got the hang of it, so I was all the weekend I was checking it, but it's not steady. It's not the case every weekend, so it depends. I watched, yes, the videos, very well prepared. I loved the content. As I told you in the beginning, I understood a lot. I'm someone who's not that into entrepreneurship, but I understood all the things that I watched and that I read. Concerning how I transmitted the knowledge that I learned into my practice and every day. Actually, I'm not a teacher, so I couldn't develop it, but probably for next year, and I would try to integrate it in my supervising work. How can you? Okay, so I think, yes, a crash course would be great.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nada, for your feedback. Anybody else would like to go before we move to the next? Yeah.
Yes, Mona, I would go
Sure.
next.
Yeah.
Actually, as Nada said that I'm gonna start and I'm not gonna talk about each question alone, but I'm gonna sum up all the answers. Basically, the training of trainers really helped me to understand better what the platform is about. But how confident I was with the content of the platform, yes, I was not very confident. And honestly, أنا كمان, I'm not a teacher. I supervise the students. So I was more introduced to the content of the platform through them. So sometimes they used to share with me because we have a group on WhatsApp. So they used to take pictures and share with me and used to discuss sometimes together. And I was more involved in their projects. So we discussed further their project. Basically, our follow-up meetings were mainly about discussing the project, not the content of the modules. So honestly, I had no time to access. Sometimes I used to access every 3 weeks. Sometimes I would access like per week twice. So it depends on what is going on, and it depends if the students had questions and I wanted to know more about. I would really suggest that, as Asil said, that if we do have the time to finish the modules, نحن as teachers and supervisors, and then provide them to the students, we will be more confident, and we have a solid base and solid understanding about what is going on, and we'd be able to answer questions. And if you have realized, and sometimes AGC students, they used to send you a lot of emails, because I was confused at one point, and I don't want to give them an answer that is wrong. And they get back to you and ask you, because they'll have a more exact answer. So basically, this is it. This is all what I have. Yeah.
Sure, no problem whatsoever. Relax, for us, this is like we're all learning here. And definitely we will create a crash course, I believe. Hopefully we will make it available early on, before even the year starts, the academic year starts. And I think it's just a matter of like strengthening this muscle. For me, this is like the social innovation and entrepreneurship, like knowledge, and how comfortable you are with it is a muscle that you just like practice with coaching more and more projects and more teams. So now that you're a bit familiar, next year I think it will be much easier, honestly. But we will take all of this definitely into consideration and make sure that we have like a very clear guide, this crash course that you can benefit from, and maybe have suggestions on like how would the feedback with the students look like between you as supervisors and them. Of course, you choose at the end of the day, but maybe we can have a bundle of suggestions that you can choose from. That's great. Anybody else would like to comment on these questions? Okay, great. So I'll move to the next one, providing student feedback. So this is something I think we all struggled with. We as Shabab Lab team also, we are not finding a lot of time to provide feedback. And we also believe that we would love this to be a part of the school's supervisor's role, for the school to be owning the process and not us as Shabab Lab. We will be keep like answering any technical issues, whether on the platform or on the modules that are specific to the technology part. We believe this is our like responsibility. But yes, we would like to see like more communication maybe with the supervisors, and this is why we're asking here, like how did you do your monitoring progress? So some of you mentioned the WhatsApp group, some of you mentioned the weekly meetings. How did you do your communication channels? Maybe you can just mention what hasn't been mentioned before for sake of time. If you want to share with each other like what worked, like something that really worked nicely and you think definitely you will keep doing it whenever it comes to like having this like close communication or relationship with you and the students. How can we enable you as teachers and supervisors to provide the right kind of feedback, content-wise and platform-wise, like from the content perspective, but also from the platform perspective? Like, would you like as you know, all know, there is a place where you can comment directly on the submission, but not a lot of you did it. So like why, or how could this be better? So this is it in general, like what worked, didn't work in terms of giving students feedback. And what about the YouTube videos we sent you? Like we sent you some videos. Yes.
Mona Asil mentioned something on the chat. She said maybe a monthly meeting with the coach, and then we can meet with the students. And she also said, and the rubric can be shared with the coach, and we can keep track of the performance of the students and compile it.
Okay. Yes, monthly meeting with the coach and the students, you mean, Asil, right? Or like
no need to honestly. If we feel like this is time consuming to meet with the student and coach, and then maybe the coach would be meeting with one of you guys and like evaluating the performance of the
Okay.
student once a month, and then the coach will do the part of like communicating it with the student, of course. You know what I mean? So, but this will take it, and then the rubric will be compiled, because this is a data that we can collect from the beginning of the project till the end of the project.
Okay, I see that. And for the meeting, the monthly meeting, would you like it to be a group meeting like we have now, or like one-on-one?
No, I prefer to be one-on-one, just not to confuse. Like we could talk about the projects in specific. That's why it's a monthly meeting, because of course it's gonna take time for you guys and for ours, and like, but then because the rubric will be in front of us and we will be evaluating things accordingly. And we'll be talking case by case or project by project, and we'll see how the performance can get better along the way. So definitely it's one-on-one.
Okay, sounds good. Okay. Who else would like to comment on this? Like, did you feel that monitoring progress took a lot of time? Were you fine with the communication channels you used? Again, how would you like to provide feedback? Are you comfortable with providing it on the platform itself? Given the way we explained through the YouTube videos that we sent you, like any feedback would be helpful here.
So we sent you a YouTube video about like using the chat box. So do you know like why do you think the students are depending on like WhatsApping you directly instead of talking to us through the chat box?
I mean, I think because of two reasons, just an assumption here, but just for the fact, again, I talk about the school. As I see, we got to know about this at a later stage. I know the timeline was like flexible for them, but then again, there was no personal establishment there. There was no like, the personal communication that they can trust, that they can put it in a chat out there in a website. Again, I think by time they get used to the fact, like this is how the communication is going on. So that's why, I mean, this is a critical condition, is that for the second reason is that because they know they are one of those schools and one of those students, nothing is personal there. So definitely they would go for getting in touch with their coach because they know them as a person, as a teacher, and so on. So maybe you've mentioned that you had this exercise with them and they had like the ice-breaking game, but maybe it was at a later stage. Maybe I would suggest that you would do it at a beginning stage. And along the way, you always do this kind of personal interaction with them and they get to know you more. And this is how they kind of break the ice and communicate with you, even with the chat on the website.
Mm-hmm. That's a very helpful insight. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Asil. Anybody else who would like to comment on this? And I think the next slide is also relevant. It's about the roles and responsibilities. So basically, what we would ultimately like to see, and we want to really your feedback on this, is you as teachers / coaches / supervisors to be accessible for student questions related to the like the general social entrepreneurship or innovation concept and like the projects, to be able to monitor their progress on the platform, to be able to provide them with feedbacks, to be able to help them with formation of teams if they have issues, and to be able to set these conditions that they were asking about, like how many per team and so on, and to be able to extend certain deadlines if you believe it is needed for your school. On the other hand, from our team, we do believe that, yes, we need to keep conducting like an information session, and Asil, I think we will definitely add this like fun aspect or like community building aspect to it, to break the ice and make them be more comfortable with our team and with like interacting with us through the platform. We will continue to give training of trainer sessions to the schools that will be participating with us. We will be handling all technical support for any platform issues, glitches, bugs, and so on. Of course, this is our responsibility. We will keep being responsible for the technology module unless your school would also like to be in charge of that, and it would work in some cases, but it's upon request, I would say. And we're thinking to add some optional live sessions, not just like to interact with the students, but maybe have some speakers, like to build, like to widen their exposure, let's say, to this social innovation and entrepreneurship world. So what do you think about this? Do you feel comfortable with that?
Yes, Mona, I have a question. I don't know if it's relevant or not, but Shabab Lab, we can only access it through our laptops. Is there an application or something?
It is actually
we download it on our
mobile-friendly.
phones?
No, it is web-based, so you can also access it from your
Okay.
phone. But for the students, for you, I don't think there's a problem at all in accessing it through your phone. But for students, for the technology platform, so for example, for the grade 10 program, it was called web development module. They had to do it on the laptop because it won't work on the phone, because there is specific software, etc. They need to download. So we believe it will be the same for like the other programs. So the technology platform always needs a laptop or a desktop, but the rest can be done via phone. The rest meaning the other videos, the other modules. But usually, as you, like one of you was trying to access Jamboard on the phone experience is not that friendly when it comes to doing the deliverables or the submissions. So it's always better to use like a laptop.
Exactly, but what I meant is no مش deliverables. What I meant إنه يكون for the teachers, for the supervisors, يكون there's an application where they receive notifications to هيك to يعني follow up on the students progress. بحس إنه this would be really easier and we can always follow up on them, see what they're doing. يعني it's up to us to open or not, but we do receive يعني a notification that the student has submitted this module or has finished this or is doing this or asked a question on the platform. So هيك we can always follow up. بحس it would be nice. يعني personally I believe it would be really easier.
Okay. For us, honestly, the mobile app is like a later step. We were not like planning to have it ready by next year, but we will rethink. Yani we have to prioritize أكيد and see if it's possible.
I'm just brainstorming, but we could do it on Slack.
وهي الفكرة إنه أنا for me I feel frustrated whenever we have like so many different platforms.
Yeah, it's true.
On. So we were trying to minimize number of platforms. هلا for you شاليمار يعني بس ما بعرف على الفون قد ايه بتزبط, but you had access to see the progress of the students, to download the report that usually Yasmin sends, like it could يعني you can access it from your own teacher corner or like teacher dashboard. But we felt not everybody was doing this. Plus, sometimes it was giving errors, so we ended up doing it ourselves. But we're gonna make sure to fix the error, وبركي instate how this could be done. But yeah, the mobile app, I believe it's not gonna be possible for next year. Maybe for the year after. Why not?
Okay.
But for next year, I think it might be a bit difficult for us. But it's a great suggestion. So thank you.
Thank you. The report that Yasmin used to send for the students was really very, very helpful and very beneficial because I was able to track them even more. حتى يعني to see who among the students is still يعني delayed, who's working well, who's progressing well. So they were really very helpful.
Thank you. Yeah. Who else would like to comment on these? Nada, do you have a comment on these roles and responsibilities, the way we envision them? Or anyone else? Are we okay? I know we're nearing the finish of our time, but Okay, so if you have any like feedback, do let us know. If not now, like by email or any other method. Now I just want to hear from you more. Any other like suggestions, points that were not raised regarding anything like TOT, any more insights or learnings from this year's experience before I talk more about next year plan? And this is the last thing. So anything else you would like to share with us? Great. Okay. So what we are planning for next year, based on a lot of meetings we've been having with some of your school supervisors and some other schools that weren't part of our pilot, is to, as I mentioned, make our programs 4 months long. So for grade 10, we are thinking to keep the same program, which is Web for Change, where we are tackling environmental SDGs, and it will be over 4 months. I believe that we can definitely like kick it off in November, if that works with you. And they will have maybe until May to submit, and then the results will be out by beginning of June. For grade 11, we had in mind like to do another 4-month program, and for grade 12 the same, but based on a lot of meetings, especially with IB schools, we realized that they mentioned that grade 12, really, they don't have a lot of time to be spending on these projects, but they would rather like them to be implementing something and not just like learning once again. So we have this suggestion, and I would like to hear more from you about it. We can have in grade 11 2 programs, but they don't have to be 4 months, or like we can cut a lot of the meat, I would say, because now we don't have to repeat all the concepts because they're doing it in the same year. And we'll be tackling 2 technologies. One is augmented reality, and the other one is artificial intelligence. And we are talking about different sustainable development goals. For augmented reality, we're focusing on 3rd and 4th, which are good health and well-being and quality education. And for the artificial intelligence one, we're focusing on SDGs 10 and 11. Sorry, here I have a mistake, which are reduced inequalities and sustainable cities and communities. And our vision was like the program will be for grade 11, 12, like one bundle. In grade 11, they will learn these 2 different technologies and come up with 2 projects. But they will only implement in grade 12, and they will implement 1 project of these 2. This works with CAS mostly, but we can adapt it for the other curricula, for the other, like, whether it's American high school or the Lebanese program or the French baccalaureate, we can adapt. So what do you think about this plan? Would you recommend adopting this program again next year? And would you be providing this recommendation to the administration? So this is the last point, and then we can end. So I would really like to hear your feedback on this, because it's very important to us.
Mona, can I start?
Yes, sure.
Because I have to leave.
Sure.
Yeah, I would really recommend it. What I would suggest إنه يكون grade 10 program أكتر يعني heavier than grade 11 and 12 because the students with the subjects بيكونوا really يعني بيكون عندهم كتير ضغط grade 11 and grade 12. So بركي بصير ال workload على grade 10 وهيك grade 11 and 12 بيكون mainly مثل كأنه it's a continuation for what they have already acquired in grade 10. بيكون less load. بحس إنه two programs يعني هن بgrade 11 they have to choose ولا they have to join both programs.
لا نحن our suggestion إنه they will learn 2 technologies, بس إنه ما تنسي they don't have to now learn all the material from the start because خلاص they know what design thinking is, they know what's the lean canvas, the social business model and so on. So تقريبا الemphasis على technological part وبس إنه يعملوا the business plan on top of it, but they will choose one of those 2 to implement in grade 12.
Okay. ما بعرف حس 2 programs is a bit يعني شوي a lot. Yes, I feel إنه it's a lot لأنه grade 11 is يعني is where they start the load يعني depends on the program إنه اللي هن enrolled فيه in school. But for example IB يعني بكون عن جد عندهم a lot of work to do فبحس two programs is too much. They can choose one of the two بحس it's better.
Okay.
حتى it would be even يعني better لأنه they would choose يعني one that is a bit more relevant to what they want to do يعني later on grade 12 or in university يعني.
Okay, so I like this. So maybe we can have both and they just choose the one technology. يعني they
Yes.
have access
Yes.
to the videos, but they won't يعني be doing both. Okay, I like this idea. Anybody else who would like to comment?
Yeah, I agree with Shalimar in terms of when I talk about CAS, grade 11 and grade 12, if they choose one platform that they invest all the research and all the time and everything, like from grade 11, and then they implement it in grade 12. For CAS actually project, it would be doable and applicable, and this is what's required from them. So yeah, confusing them between a couple of platforms, it's gonna be like a hassle for us to make it all done for grade 12. So if things are accurate for them and and it's more chosen by them from grade 11, mid-grade 11, mid IB1, and then implementing in IB2, it would give them time and space and like much more of a focused research in that matter.
Okay, so this is how we can frame it. We can frame it as a 2-year program. In the first year, they get exposed to two different technologies and they choose one. And in the second year, they will actually implement.
Yeah, exactly. That would be great.
Okay.
For grade 10 as precast, sorry,
Sure.
we would keep it as it is, as it is, but then definitely would start it as earlier as possible for them to have time and like capacity to grow within it, you know?
Yes. Okay. Noted.
Yeah.
Thank you, Asil. Who else would like to comment?
منى بعتلي كتير لأنه أنا
لا
عم
خلصنا.
leave.
نحن خلصنا. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Alright, like أنا خلص I'll stay يعني إذا ما بقى كتير.
لا ما في هذا last slide. بس I really want to hear from the rest. يعني ما بعرف سانكر, Nada, if you'd like to give us your feedback on this. Or we can take it in another one-on-one meeting. كمان we don't mind. Rawda High School, same thing. BHS, Sharbil, same thing. Sharbil left يعني بس. So maybe we can discuss this in our one-on-one meetings. And like just the final thing is the checkout, basically like one word maybe, one word from you basically about today. Yeah.
Sorry?
Yes, Nada.
Yes. I'm sorry. I had the call from the rector at school. I couldn't.
Sure, no problem.
I couldn't be with you. So if you could please put the slide back, so so I can give my.
Yes. So Shalimar, you can leave. It's fine. Like we're almost done. Yeah. So I was mentioning that we are planning to have for grade 10 the same program. Yes, Shalimar.
Oh.
And for grade 11.
I'm gonna say bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for this efficient meeting.
Thank you, Shalimar.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much. And for grade 11, we had in mind to have two programs, but like based on the suggestions we just had, we're gonna change a bit. So we're gonna expose them to two different technologies and two different set of SDGs, and they have to choose one. Like, you know, like there are two options. They have to choose one. And in grade 12, they will implement the one that they chose, really implement, not just like this time. Like this time in WAP for Change, yes, they implemented, but they didn't execute, you know what I mean? We're talking about execution, like to bring this project to life, to go test it with actual people and so on. So what do you think about that?
For grade 10, so it's gonna be like a fixed program, right? this is how I understand. I mean, this year you took the environmental SDGs. Next year also it's going to be the environmental SDGs.
Yes.
So it's the same. For grade 11, I don't mind, honestly, as long as they are for 4 months and there's a bit of flexibility in the deadlines, I don't mind. But for grade 12, I think it's going to be a bit difficult because grade 12 usually are the seniors to do. They have their official exams. I'm not sure if it's going to be applicable for grade 12.
Yeah, so
And then
thing is
yes,
like they won't be learning new things in grade 12. يعني ما
it's
بقى
just
في
implementation.
Exactly. يعني the submissions are more of like what are they doing to execute, and we can have a guideline, etc. But ما بقى يعني مش مثل قبل إنه they're learning and like you know, it's just like executing what they've planned the year before. For a small period of time. يعني يمكن مثلا by ما بعرف February نكون خالصين for grade.
حتى you specified the SDGs مثلا for grade 11, 3 and 4, 9 and 10.
10, 11.
Now,
sorry, it's a typo. I have a typo here. Yeah.
Okay.
10 and 11.
But yes, so what basically you are dividing them by sections, right?
لا ما عندنا two options. يعني عندك إذا تفكري فيهم عندك two bundles هون، يا أما augmented reality with SDG 3 and 4 or artificial intelligence with SDG 10 and 11. They choose one to work on, you know, they be exposed to both. يعني they will have access to the material of both. So if they want to learn both, they can, but they have to choose one and create a plan like they did in the Web for Change for one of these two. And at the end of the program, they can pitch. ويكون again في competition. For grade 12, the competition بتكون على implementation itself, على execution.
هلا أنا بس كان بدي أقول لك أنا اللي حبيته it's this if you want the combination between environmental and social يعني يعني عم تشتغلوا في شوي there's some common ground or as if you are trying to make the students find a link between something social that could be I don't know, this is how I understood it, but I don't mind the choice of the topics. كلهم حلوين يعني artificial intelligence هلا I mean
yeah, it's very
it's booming everywhere. صح بس concerning grade 12, yes, you are right. Maybe if it's just at the implementation level, it's not a problem.
Okay, great. So
it shouldn't be a problem
يعني
for the
how we will sell it to the students. And no, this is a 2-year program. عرفتي إنه grade 11 you choose, you plan. Grade 12 you execute. This is how it will be. So for them, it's a 2-year.
يعني they cannot start the program in grade 12. They cannot. Okay.
That's why I said here it will start in 2022, 2023. And we need them to have done the grade 11 program. So for next year, we won't have grade 12. For the year after, yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
All right. So any final comments, final checkout? How was today? Did you like, was it good? Are you fine with whatever we've said, especially this slide?
This one. Okay.
We'll have كمان one-on-one meetings. بركي we will schedule one-on-one meetings with every school to also talk about next year and like the plan for next year.
Muna, I'm planning يعني بس I was waiting for this session to end but I'm planning to talk to each of you to plan it.
هلا أنا honestly today's session is very fruitful for me. It was also an eye-opener, and sometimes you learn, and when you see other colleagues in other schools who are facing the same issues and who are overcoming the same challenges, so you feel a bit relieved. It was good to be here today and hear from our colleagues in other schools. Thank you for this, and as usual, you and the team, you're awesome, and you're very patient with us. You know that we are now beginning in this project, and we are starting it right from, if you want, with baby steps for us, for me personally. But thank you a lot for everything, for the availability whenever we send you an email or we call you or you are here. نحن we are trying to, if you want, limit the calls and the communication with you via Madam Carla. So she's the one sending you the emails. Sometimes when the students report to me, sometimes I right away send you the mail, but sometimes also I refer it to her and she sends it to you. We are trying not to overload you with many calls and inquiries about things.
Mhm. Thank you, Nada, so much for your efforts.
Yeah, I agree with Nada. I mean, it's super helpful for all of us as colleagues to meet with each other at some point in the project to see the progress of all the schools, just for the fact of knowing the challenges and how they're overcoming it and so on, because definitely we can help each other throughout the process. And I really hope that we have like an orientation before the start of the project and announcing it to our students, and to be well maintained and aware of everything that's going to go on with them, and maybe to have like an orientation not just about the project in general, but the details of the process, and like going through the system with you guys. Like it would be a workshop. And last but not least, I really do care about, I mean, to be very honest with you guys, because of the last minute, like I see being engaged in this project, and like all of us, we were overwhelmed with everything. Like I feel I wasn't much engaged as a coach with my students, even though like a couple of questions were asked, but they were very minimal. And I know that if they know that I am really with them, and I know what they're going through, I know that the communication would have been much more effective between me and them, at least. So the monthly meeting would be great, and like along with the Yasmin's sending us the report and so on. So yeah, that's it for me. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Asil. We are taking like all of your suggestions, notes, comments into consideration, and we'll make sure to make this clear to everyone. I would just like to say that it would be really great to provide some feedback for the students before the final deadline of the pitch. We will try to provide feedback from our side, but also we would like you as well to provide some feedback, given that now like the projects are mature, and they're probably now working on the final pitch final submission. So it would be great if you can provide them with feedback, because again, this is a competition, and it would be nice to just like maximize their chances and being finalists, at least, if not like maybe winners, but that would be really nice for them to maximize these chances. So we would really like to ask for your support on that, given we are also being overwhelmed at Shabab Lab. As you may know, we're still a startup, and we are also part of many like incubation acceleration programs. We are meeting ourselves with mentors all the time, improving our business plan. So we are teaching entrepreneurship, but we're being entrepreneurs too at the same time. So it is a lot of hard work. So thank you again for being with us today. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate all the feedback. And I will be here if you need anything else, any more questions. Otherwise, you are also free to leave. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Aitani, and thank you to the team as well.